In terms of data analysis and data collection, I really wanted to utilize a survey structure to really garner information on what the students are experiencing in the classroom, especially whether or not culturally responsive teaching is present in the classroom and how that affects their learning. In terms of their language and racial identities, I think it should, if we do see culturally responsive teaching strategies inside the classroom, then we should see somewhat of an effect on their cultural and linguistic identity, or racial and linguistic identities. For a lot of ELL students, the identity crisis that they can have, not only pertaining to language, but also as racial identities, if teachers are not very well prepared to deal with these challenges, especially if culturally responsive teaching is not present in the classroom, then we shall see a lot more challenges between student and educator and how to build that relationship, and especially on how students think about their racial and linguistic identity. Now, I wanted to use the Likert scale in terms of the 1 through 5. I wanted to be very opinion based, but I did want to keep all of the results, or at least the names of the students, anonymous, not only to kind of generate a more genuine response, but also to kind of quell the kind of Hawthorne effect, where if they knew they were being studied individually, they would kind of answer in a different way and not give genuine results. And I did want to follow it up with interviews on selective students to kind of give context to their responses, especially responses that I thought were explicitly in the interest of culturally responsive teaching and how they really think about their language and racial identities. Now, these interviews are also going to be anonymous, and no additional information is going to be taken about their families or names or anything like that. Mostly to one, protect the integrity of the responses, but also to generate a sense of comfort between me and the student when they're talking about their background, their family backgrounds, their racial backgrounds, and their language backgrounds, and especially to establish a sense of complete autonomy where they are completely aware that they are free to either answer or not answer any question that I may ask during the interview, and also to have them be aware that they can walk away at any minute. Now, after gathering the data from the students, my contention was to have one-on-one individual interviews with the teachers as well, because that will give me context on whether or not these educators have even thought about what it means to be culturally responsive, a culturally responsive teacher, but also to know if they have even incorporated these strategies into the classroom at all. And that way it will give me context on not only how the teacher thinks about educating these English language learners, but also how they implement this in the classroom and how they think it affects their students. Will also give me a context of how the classroom environment is set up, which is generally very important in not only general education, but more specifically in English language learner education, because the environment does create or does generate results. And like I've read in Dr. Luke Wood's book, any system is perfectly set up to have the results that it wants. So if the culturally responsive teaching is not there, and the teacher is not even thinking about these strategies, then we should see some correlation between those missing strategies and the way that the students think about their linguistic and racial identities.